Hello, and welcome to another Optimum Business English video. In this video, we'll consider how to interrupt a belittling, bully, troublemaker in a business meeting or presentation. You'll recall from a previous video how to interrupt an audience to start a meeting or presentation that the top 4 reasons to hold a meeting require audience participation. Making audience participation key to the success of most business meetings. However, there are times when audience participation may hamper or be bad for a meeting's success, and so it should be stopped, halted, or interrupted. And in this video, we'll focus on the third reason to interrupt your audience, which is when a person in your meeting or presentation is either belittling or bullying another person, or if they are simply trying to make trouble. And what does it mean to belittle someone? At its core, to belittle is to make someone to be little or small. It is to humiliate and to make them look and feel stupid. In essence, it is to bully them. Whilst a troublemaker is someone who seeks attention by purposefully being bad and making trouble. Now, why would someone seek to belittle another person? Firstly, belittling someone aims to damage their reputation or their standing in the company or community. It is to wound them by attacking their sense of self-worth, self-value, and self-importance, even as the perpetrator or the person who is doing the belittling uses it to make themselves look and feel more important. Where would we find belittling behavior in business? It could be in a meeting or a presentation, where the person is either present in the room or they could be absent from the room, that is talking about them behind their back. Alternatively, a person may be belittled online via social media, etc., or in an email. A person may be belittled for many reasons, including because they gave a wrong answer, or because they said something incorrectly, using the wrong words, or stumbling in broken English. Maybe because of what they are wearing, or because of what they are doing, such as slurping their coffee in a meeting, or because of what they sound like. Perhaps their voice is breaking, or they speak too quietly or too quickly. It could be because of how they look. Whatever the reason, belittling needs to be interrupted and stopped immediately because meeting attendees need to know that your meeting or presentation is a safe place to speak up. Because if they don't feel safe, they won't participate for fear of being attacked. And when it comes to troublemakers, they also need to be interrupted immediately because they're not there to contribute, but to break down, disrupt, and destroy. If we just do nothing about it, our meeting will fail, and more importantly, as the meeting lead, you have a responsibility to the company, your attendees, and your own success to stop bullying or belittling troublemakers, simply because it's the right thing to do. So how do we do that? How do we interrupt them? And there are 4 levels of escalation. We always start off gently, so as to not escalate things if it can be avoided. If someone says, "That is ridiculous, Peter. You need to stop talking now because you're confused again," you could respond gently with, "We really do need to hear from Peter because he is the only one with that expert knowledge." Now, what would that response do? It should quietly stop the bullying, as it would make the bully think twice before doing it again. It also makes the bullied person feel more important, being called an expert. Finally, it lets the entire group know that it is safe to speak up in your meetings. But what if the person persists by saying, "Expert? Ha! He could not expert a toilet roll." You would then need to escalate or raise the level of your response by showing your displeasure with your facial expression and body language, and by no longer smiling, narrowing your eyes, and perhaps even crossing your arms. You may even make your tone less friendly, becoming more serious by saying, "Susan, please. We would really like to hear his input without further interruption." However, should you not agree, you may come see me afterwards to discuss it, but now is not the time. What would that response do? It should prevent further comments. It is a given that your audience will sometimes test you, and so you'll need to cement your authority as the meeting lead to prevent most future challenges. In the unlikely event they still persist, saying something like, "No, I'd like to rather discuss it now," you'll need to cut your losses and ask them to leave. Because toxic people only want to disrupt and cause trouble. So if they remain, your meeting will fail. And remember, troublemakers win if you overreact. So respond calmly by saying, "Susan, please leave the meeting. I'll set up a session with you and your manager to discuss this further. Thank you." What would that response do? It would let them know that there will be consequences and that you are not afraid of going there. If the person is stubborn beyond measure and still carries on, saying, "I have the right to be heard anywhere I want," it is then best to disengage and to stop speaking to them entirely, instead informing the group that you will reschedule the meeting, saying, "I apologize everyone for wasting your time. However, I think it best that we reschedule this meeting to first resolve this before we can continue. Thank you for understanding." And then, once they have left, you contact the person's manager, calmly requesting their assistance in dealing with the troublemaker. And then, when you reschedule the meeting, you have the following options. You could invite both the troublemaker and their manager to help keep them in check. Or, should you feel that they will now behave, having been sufficiently reprimanded, you could only invite them. The last option is that you could uninvite them entirely and use only email communications with them going forward. And with that, we've come to the end of this video. I do hope you found it helpful. Look out for our next video on how to interrupt a rude or a childish person in a meeting or presentation. Finally, let us take a quick look at some of the business English vocabulary used in this video. To seek means to try to or to attempt to do something. And purpose means the reason for doing something. Whilst your reputation is how others view or see you, and having a good reputation comes with advantages. Self-worth means how much worth or value you feel you have as a person, that you are a person of value. Perpetrator is a person who is responsible for doing something wrong or bad. Please remember to subscribe to be notified each time we post a new video. And thank you for watching.